Hello one and all, and community players and viewers and video makers and just those who are tuning in because they want to get started in the community. And these are the kind of videos that should give you that healthy start forwards from the people who are already playing. I'm here today to talk about a somewhat contentious subject matter for the table here, and that is something that I call fantasy realm fatigue, or how to avoid it. You might well know this as setting burnout, or how to avoid it. And we know, let's look at I mean, obviously there are a number of different types of burnout that players and GMs can suffer from. And we know that system burnout, theoretically, that, you know, a collection of mechanics that you use, theoretically is a possibility, just using the same system because you want to try other things, you need a bit of a change of flavour. But what is this setting burnout I speak of, or how to avoid it? I want to keep saying that. Or how to avoid it at the end there. It needs to be stuck in brackets. Yes, definitely a parenthood required on parenthesis. So parenting on parenthesis. Yes, that's snappy, isn't it? Right. So the thing is this, right? I'll tell you how it works with my own group. Right, I'm the guy that doesn't want to have, multiple different systems going at the same time of the same type of theme. Right, we are a group, I don't know if some of you are the same, where it's not always the same person GMing. You know, I'm willing to GM this, that, and this and the other. And someone else is willing to GM whatever. You know, I'm willing to GM Warhammer Fantasy 3rd Edition. I might be willing to GM D&D 5th. I GM Dragon Age. I'll probably want to GM Eclipse Phase. Yeah, and possibly Shadowrun. Don't know. See. So that kind of the thought process is in place. Laurie, one of our players, he wants to GM Pathfinder. That's very much on his mind. Craig, he's Laurie's GM'd Dark Heresy before. Craig has GM'd Dark Heresy for us before. Craig GM's Death Watch for us. So you can see that we are a group that splits it round a bit. And because of that, you can see that a lot of different players come forward and say, hey, let's play this, hey, let's play that. And we can have several systems going at the same time. Now that, as an idea, I have no problem with, because so you want a bit of a break, you want to avoid burnout. Let's just say, you want a bit of time away from doing Dragon Age. The other guys, he can prepare his thing for his Death Watch campaign, and he can get a few sessions ready for that while I take a break. And then when he's, taking his break and preparing the next thing, I can be running a bit of Dragon Age or whatever. It's a great principle. It really is. Now, where did the point of disagreement come? Well, I'll tell you. It was where I feel fantasy fatigue, or the prevention thereof, is an important matter. I'm trying not to even get into it. I know I've been beating around the bush. What is this? I've been naming it by term, but what is it? Well, let's get to that right now, into the heart of the beast. So, what I mean is, if I were to be playing something like D&D, and simultaneously ran a campaign, or even if I'm just a player within that campaign, and I'm not the one running it, so I'm GMing one, and I'm running another as a player, say Pathfinder, and like I'm also doing Dragon Age at the same time or whatever. That's 3 fantasy worlds. Yes, they're different worlds, but they are 3 fantasy worlds. somewhat similar, really, when you start breaking it down. You could say, oh no, the differences are here, stark, especially with Dragon Age and whatever. Alright, yes, but break that against, say, a sci-fi RPG, and then the differences in theme and start of the world and the types of the enemies, some of the things that will come up in the world, you will see a lot of similarities occurring. Taverns, inns, and setting. Now the problem with that is this: immersion and believability. Now all the players at my table think I am bloody nuts for this being an issue, because they think I'm ruining it for them, I think. Because I'm running Dragon Age here, and Laurie wants to GM Pathfinder, and someone else wants to have another look at some other fantasy thing, and this sort of thing. And I've said, look, if you want to play those things, go ahead, alright? But do it without me. I'm not being funny about it, okay? I'm really not. But I've just got to do what's right for me on this. And I've given my reasons, and they don't agree with them. But they've said, well, no, we'd rather just wait till you're ready. We don't want to lose a player. I respect that. That's fine. But the reason is that I have a certain degree of believability and immersion. I need to be coming away from that session. And while I'm not playing there, I need to be thinking still about the world, thinking about my character or my NPCs, depending on whether I'm a player or a GM, thinking and thinking and thinking. And sometimes, when it's just in the back of my mind, gestating, great new ideas will come forward that I then get to bring to the next session or plan for a forward session. However, if there are several settings and they are all similar, then those theme of ideas won't be centered. You won't necessarily be thinking of that character specifically, because you're trying to juggle other characters in a similar setting. And then if you're trying to apply something that would apply to one of them, because it's a similar setting, it might well apply to the other one as well additionally, which won't give you that focus, that drive to enjoy it like you should. So for me, it would be a very quick burnout, and I would lose all of my focus, my force, my immersion, my interest in there being a single character if I'm a player, if I was playing multiple, say, fantasy systems. The same might well be the case with sci-fi. You can get bored of anything. This, though, is preventative. Okay, prevention is better than cure. I don't want to burn out. I don't want to get bored. I know myself well enough in advance that I'm putting this forward to the group. I'm saying, sorry, I have to avoid this. I only want to run one fantasy at a time. And the other problem is this. Whenever you read a fantasy, it is just that. It is a fantasy. It's supposed to be an immersion and escapism. Are you then supposed to buy into the fact that all of these worlds that are different, yet very strangely similar, all coexist simultaneously? Are you supposed to let them all interact with each other? No. There's no point when you're playing Lord of the Rings, when you're on Middle Earth, that any of your thoughts should ever turn to anything D&D based, for example. Okay, it's a different world, but yet they've both got orcs. They've both got dwarves. What? And you might have a very clear cut of the differences between that. Okay, you might be able to tell yourself, but these dwarves, they're dour and grumpy in this way, whereas these dwarves, they're dour and grumpy in that way. But it's the very fact that they are dour and grumpy in any way that's just enough for me. I don't want to think, this epic moment within the world, and we build the adventure up like that, because the other system would be saying, well, why can't I do that? Why do you have to do that? D&D will look at Middle Earth's great idea and say, hey, GM, no, use it on me. And you don't need conflict and confusion. How can you possibly have fantasy immersion when you're simultaneously trying to juggle multiple worlds? Surely Would you really want to read 2 fantasy novels or more simultaneously? Can you do that and get as much out of it as concentrating on just one at a time? It just doesn't seem right. And I call it fantasy fatigue because it just obviously fits with a piece of alliteration, but it's something that could apply to all those other genres, of course, and you could have like Lovecraftian style horror, and after doing something like that, you might not want to also run simultaneously a sort of Sherlock Holmes based thing. Sherlock Holmes doesn't fight things with tentacles or run away and investigate things with tentacles coming out of another dimension, sure, but it's same kind of time period, and it's serious, it's realistic, and it's investigative wholly, and realistic from people's abilities point of view. So all of that for me is a very important factor, and my group think I'm nuts. They think I'm completely round the bend, stopping them from doing what they want to do because it would ruin it for me. So I'm not going to ask you whether you think I'm right, because every person, however they feel and what they go by, they are right for themselves. And I know that the others at the table don't feel like me. So I'm curious, do any of you out there feel like me? Do I have anyone in common with me at all? Or am I completely alone on this? I kind of want to know, because the extent that I've been disagreed with at my table is starting to make me a bit insecure on the subject. Would you be happy to simultaneously run, say, Star Wars, yet also Star Trek, yet also Battlestar Galactica as RPGs, all at the same time? 1 week one, and the other week the next, then the third week the third one, and then like some sort of rota system like that? Or would you really be able to give all of those characters the love and thought and care and background treatment that they deserve? And the other thing about background treatment and gestation is that a lot of the elements of the character, you bring them to the table, you start them off with an idea of where they are at, but as you play on, as the things affect you in game, they inspire you, they affect you, they change you, the things you're exposed to, and they help you manifest new areas of your character based on what they have encountered, and B, they help you realize elements of your character that were already there, but help you to bring those forward, or help you to realize that they are there. And sometimes they can give you a new idea of how to take that character forward, right? And if you are spending the downtime between those sessions thinking about too many characters that are all in a similar setting, that's just a screw up for me. You're going to perform less well. I will argue that anyone would, personally, if you're the sort of person that thinks about your characters out of session. I know I do. I know I certainly do. And I think that's an important matter. So, I've explained where I'm coming from and why I think it. So I'm going to turn it over to all of you now, and I really would be interested in seeing what the community say to this one. Setting burnout, fantasy realm fatigue, myth or fact? I'll see you at the table.